This video explains how to install 480 Country Classic planks with the Easy Up track and clip system. The Easy Up track and clips are not included in the plank carton and will need to be purchased separately. Please pause the video here to review the additional hardware and tools you'll need for this installation. Keep these requirements in mind before beginning your project. Mineral fiber planks should be handled with care, especially when removing them from the carton and during the installation process. The edges and face of the planks can damage easily. Store and install ceilings in areas with a temperature range of 60 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit and not more than 70% relative humidity. Remove ceiling planks from the cartons 24 hours before installation and allow the materials to adjust to normal interior conditions of the installation area. Do not apply loose fill or rest bat insulation on the back of the planks. Do not install ceiling tiles below embedded radiant heat coils. Keep hands clean during plank installation to avoid fingerprints and smudges. Always cut planks face up with a sharp utility knife. Easy Up tracks should be installed perpendicular to the joists in a ceiling, so the planks run parallel to the joists. If the planks must run perpendicular to the joists, you will need to install a layer of furring strips below the joists. If installing the planks over a drywall ceiling, start by locating the hidden joists. Use either a stud finder or tap on the ceiling until you hear a solid thud. Mark either end of the joist and connect these marks with a chalk line. Joists are typically spaced 16 inches or 24 inches on center. If you have a popcorn ceiling with a large texture, it is recommended that you scrape off the texture along the chalk line. With all joist locations marked, you can now begin installing the track. Review the dimensions shown here for installing the first row of track. There should be 2 inches between the wall and the edge of the track. Install tracks with number 6 coarse thread screws. A different screw length may be needed depending on your existing ceiling. When installing multiple pieces of track per row, you can either butt the ends keeping a 1/4 inch gap or offset the track and have an 1/8 inch gap. Next, install the second row of the track. Measure 12 inches out from the first row. Snap a chalk line running parallel to the first row. The edge of the second row of track that is farthest from the starting wall should run along this chalk line. With the first 2 rows of track installed, continue installing the remaining rows 12 inches on center. The last row of the track should be installed 2 inches from the wall. Now that the track is installed, you can calculate the size of the border tiles. Use the following example to help you complete these calculations. First, measure your room length in the same direction as the track. Then divide that number by 6. Multiply the remainder decimal by 6, and then add 6 to the result. Divide that result by 2 to get the border plank size for either side of the room. Plan the plank layout and border plank sizes. Pause the video here to review the formula that will help you determine the border plank width. Keeping border planks symmetrical and as large as possible will create the best finished visual. With border calculations done, it is time to cut the first row of planks. Familiarize yourself with the plank edges and face before you begin cutting your first plank. Carefully trim the first plank to the calculated border plank width. Face up with a sharp utility knife. Do not cut off the flange sides of the plank. Next, cut off the tongue on the narrow edge of the first plank. Before installing the first plank, we recommend hanging a string line that equals your border plank width away from the wall. You will also want to install the first row of clips on every track with teeth facing away from the front wall. Snap the clips into the track and push the clips flush against the wall. Push the first plank firmly into the corner, embedding the clips into the cut edge. Keep a 1/2 inch gap between the short edge of the plank and the wall. Next, snap a new clip on every other track and push them over the plank flange to secure the plank's flange side. Lightly tap the clips with a hammer to seat the plank tightly to the front wall. Make sure the plank flange edge aligns with the string line. Complete the first row of cut planks. Cut the last plank to length. When starting the second row, cut some length from the first plank to stagger the seams. To maintain staggered seams from row to row, use the remaining material cut from the last plank in the previous row to start the next row. Place a clip on every other track to secure the plank flanges. Clips must alternate tracks on every row and not be farther than 24 inches apart. Snap a clip onto each track before inserting the last row of planks, and push flush with the end wall. Cut the last row of planks a ½ inch short of the end wall. Measure and cut the face of the plank. Install end wall border planks and use a screwdriver next to the wall to embed the clip into the plank's cut edge. The last step is covering the expansion gaps around the ceiling with a trim of your choice. We recommend painting or staining the trim before installing and nailing it into studs every 24 inches. A full set of installation instructions is available on our website. For additional installation support, contact our TechLine team with questions.